Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Capcom and Dragon Dogma 2. This has been a controversial topic since the game came out last week. And it mainly has to do with two main areas of Dragon's Dogma. It has to do with the DLC and performance issues with the game. So Capcom has responded to criticism. So why is everybody going up in arms? Because the game came out, had a lot of good pre-release reviews, and people were praising the game left and right, but it had a mix. It was like mostly negative for a while. Then it had mixed reviews on Steam, where only 40% of the 9,000 reviews were positive. Well, people found out, this was post-launch, they found out that there were 21 separate DLC purchases available on day one. Take a look. I got them up here on Steam. Kind of small. I can't make it that much bigger, but let's just say there's some DLCs in here that are questionable. Number one, character change DLC, which we haven't, is not brand new. We've seen that somewhere, or we've seen in other games. In order to change your character's look, you have an item you can buy. And then there's also fast travel vouchers, which you can buy with real money. So this is a game that's $70, full price, single player game, full price, single player game that has DLC for fast travel and DLC for character edits and some other things, which got players up in arms. So in a message published on Steam, Capcom said, "We have received numerous comments from the community. To all those looking forward to the game, we sincerely apologize for any inconvenience. On the subject of microtransactions, Capcom noted that all the items listed below can be obtained in-game or as paid DLC. So they list the character editor, some other markers, some other things, change pawn inclinations, rift crystals, escape from jail, and happy lure item. A bunch of things that they said you can get in-game, but are also available as paid DLC. They also commented on the frame rate issues. It says that a large amount of CPU usage is allocated to each character and calculated the impact of the physical presence in various areas, basically bad coding. In certain situations where numerous characters appear simultaneously, the CPU usage can be very high and may affect the frame rate. We are aware of such situations. Settings that reduce GPU load may currently have a limited effect. However, we are looking at ways to improve the performance. So there are some day one performance issues. Again, something that we've seen many, many times in other games. So players are up in arms. There's a crowd that says this is terrible. This sets a bad precedent. And there's a crowd that says you can get them in game, so it's not an issue. Well, this is how I feel about it. And it comes down to one statement only. If all the items can be obtained in game, why are they being sold as DLC? That's the question I posed to Capcom. If all the items can be obtained in game, then why are they being sold as DLC? That question should lead to the root problem. If you can obtain the items in game, there should be no reason to buy them. Unless we're going full cam on this one. Unless there's something in the game to incentivize purchasing the item because the way to get them in game is inconvenient. How is that inconvenient? How is that process inconvenient? By design. Right? So to get multiple vouchers for fast travel, to do the character editor and stuff, if it's inconvenient enough to purchase it, right? Because that's what these purchases are for. These DLCs are for convenience. So if it's inconvenient, whose fault and whose design is that to make that a paid item? That is a question that needs to be answered here. Because honestly, I find that there should be no reason to sell things in game that you can get by playing it. And this is the example that I use. A game that was near and dear to my heart. Overwatch. Not Overwatch. I'm sorry. We were just talking about Overwatch last game. Warframe. a game near and dear to my heart, Warframe. Warframe had an item in their shop for credits. I think it was called a high roller pack. It was the most useless thing in the shop because credits are so easily obtained just by grinding, but you gotta know where to go. So it's a knowledge thing. You gotta know where to go to get the credits. If you don't know where to get the credits, then going to the shop and buying 10,000 credits for an absorbent amount of money is the easier option. So I called it the stupid tax, but it's actually an ignorant tax. If you don't know about how to get these things, you pay money because you're ignorant. And to me, that's borderline predatory, right? To make a game design to where that stuff is not readily available in terms of knowledge, and then you charge them to get around something that they should already know. That's a little bit predatory, and I got on DE about it all the time. I'm like, the high roller packs, the credit packs in the shop need to be removed. They're stupid. They need to go away. People can grind credits, that amount of credits, in a matter of minutes, and you're charging them $5 for it, right? It's the same type of idea here with this stuff with Dragon Dogma, if you ask me. If these items can be obtained in game, there is no reason to sell them. Unless there's a design in place to make it harder or inconvenient to where people would spend money. And that's a bigger issue to me than, oh, it doesn't affect me because I'm going to get them in game. I don't have to buy them. Just don't buy them forehead, is what people will say. Just don't buy the items. No, it's a little bit bigger than that. This is a design flaw and a core problem in gaming today. It's a predatory technique to get you to spend money when you shouldn't. Like charging for a shopping cart. At some point, somebody's got to ask, why are you charging for a shopping cart? And then you get into the crux of the matter. It's just like, you don't have to charge for a shopping cart. Well, people don't return to it. Well, that's a problem, right? So why am I paying for your problem? So it's an ignorant tax. It's definitely an ignorant tax. And I think that ignorant taxes should be banned from video games. They really should. Like, if somebody doesn't know how to do something, they shouldn't have to pay to get around it. That's predatory. Because despite what they may say or do or think, if they find out later that these items can be obtained in game and they paid money, a lot of people will be irate and livid. Like, I wish I would have known that, and I would not have spent money on it. And I'm gonna tell you, a vast majority of gamers, they're gonna look at this and go, "Oh, I need to buy fast travel. I better get 5 or 6 of these because I'm loving this game. I'm gonna get 5 or 6 of these." Before they even find out about it in game. It could be the most obvious thing to you, super gamer, but this is predatory. This is predatory. There's no other way to put it. It's predatory. It should be removed, right? Now, can you enjoy the game without doing these games? Of course. That's not the point I'm making here. The point I'm making is that it shouldn't even be in the shop in the first place. If these were removed from the shop, nothing would change in the game, right? Like, the game would not be worse if these were removed. The game would not be better if these were removed in terms of like the game itself. This is totally extracurricular and totally unnecessary to the game. So the question comes back to, why in the world are they even there if you can get them in game? Why are they there? Period. I mean, to me, that should solve the argument. If that question is addressed by Capcom, why do you have DLC in the game that you can obtain in game? If they can answer that eloquently, then that would be ideal for them. To just basically tell the players what their goals are and why they're doing it, if they're truthful about it. If they're not truthful about it, then we can call them out on it. Because honestly, they shouldn't be there. And people who defend it will even agree with that. They will say, well, it doesn't affect the game at all. You can get them in game. So why are they being sold? Why are they being sold? Check it out over on videogameschronicle.com. They got the details about this. Capcom has responded to criticism for Dragon's Dogma's paid DLC and performance issues. It reminds me of something I went through with Warframe, other games, where there's just certain things that shouldn't be paid, and there's no reason to have them there. If they're obtainable in game, there's really no reason to have them, unless the design of the game is so that you can buy them. And that's the trend that we want to avoid. We want to avoid games being designed for things to be so inconvenient that you need to pay. That's some predatory mobile game type stuff, right? If it's so inconvenient that you've got to pay, that's a bad design. Check it out. They got the details on videogamechronicles.com.